Hey, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. So, yesterday was a really busy day in Washington, D.C. Aside from the clown show that is our Congress and their whole trying to elect a new Speaker of the House, there was a really large protest yesterday and a lot of arrests that came along with it. And it's being presented by certain right leaning and conservative media outlets in a way that, frankly, I expected. It's just the response I've seen from some left leaning people and some liberal people that, well, it's disappointing to say the least. Now, if you don't know what happened, there was a group that CBS, according to them, is a left leaning Jewish group, organized a protest regarding the ongoing conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. And their intended goal is peace. They want the U.S. to step up as a mediator for a ceasefire. Mainly, they want us to stop sending weapons to Israel that are used for offensive capabilities. I don't think anybody has a problem with defending yourself. It's just when you start pushing into occupied territories with, frankly, our tax money, that sort of becomes a problem. None of them are complaining about the $100 million being sent to Palestine for food, water, medicine, that kind of stuff. I think all of us agree that we would rather our money go to helping people than to help hurt people. Well, I mean, maybe you got stock in like Raytheon and Lockheed and stuff like that, and you're just rolling in it right now. But most people, we don't like war. We don't like to see people being hurt. So, protesting for your government to stop funding them, to me, seems like a good thing, you know. However, this is being presented as a left leaning January 6th, an insurrection at the Capitol because they broke in and they, got all over the Capitol grounds and they caused a disruption. And it's important to note that there's very little comparison between the two. Yes, people did get inside of a building in Washington, D.C., and yes, arrests were made. And even some of those arrests were for assaulting police officers. That's true. Like 3 or 4 of the arrests that were made yesterday were because people assaulted cops. They were arrested almost immediately. All the other arrests were for disruption, which is DC has really strict laws about how you can protest there because, I mean, it's DC. They pass laws and stuff. It's whenever you go protest, just make sure you know what your laws are so you don't get in any more trouble than the police are going to try and pin on you in the first place. But as I was saying, not only were they in different buildings, the pictures you're going to see from yesterday were in a building called the Cannon House. They didn't happen at the Capitol grounds. They didn't happen in the halls of Congress. You'll also notice that the people in these pictures aren't stealing anything. That's a big one. Nobody broke into any offices and took stuff out of them. The guy who took the podium, that famous picture from January 6th, you didn't have any of that. Also, important to note, while you did have large crowds outside at the National Mall, the group yesterday didn't have a gallows built. And they didn't threaten the life of the vice president and other elected officials because they didn't get their way. You know, they did both protest. Yes, that's true. But the nature of the protest is very different. You can protest good things and you can protest bad things. And it's not just, well, people were in Washington, D.C., and that's the end all be all. You know, I've seen left leaning people and liberal people who they're thinking the median voter won't be able to tell the difference. And I'll be honest, if you genuinely believe that, you're part of the problem. You're what some people would call a useful idiot for conservatives because this is a slam dunk. This is the easiest thing for you to explain the difference between. And it's not just, oh, well, you had a bunch of people in a fancy building in Washington, D.C., so these things are exactly the same. No, you have one group who is protesting stopping violence. And you have another group who protested their favorite old man didn't win the popularity contest. And also, we're going to threaten the lives of elected officials. These are so fundamentally different, I don't know why you would concede on it. But some of you are going to do that. And I cannot pressure enough to you that you have an obligation to help people see the truth. You know, if they're going to be fed this kind of propaganda that these events are the same, you owe it to them to help them understand. Most people aren't going to have any issue seeing the difference between this. But if you know someone who's like so lost in the sauce of right-wing propaganda that they genuinely think these are the same, if this is someone you know and care about, help them out. Help them, just pull them out of that mud. Like, we're all going to do better if we can all, protest the good things. And this is certainly a good thing to protest, We all want to help people. We don't want to help hurt people anymore. So, ring up your congressman, call your senator, whatever. Tell them how you really feel about us sending our money to just hurt people overseas. But, I'm sure more arrests are going to be made out of this from yesterday. We're going to see more about it. And I guess until we get more news, y'all try to have a good day.